Thank you very much. Once again, we realize the work the Premier does for this province. It does a lot of work for the poor and for everybody. I've never seen anybody who works that hard in his position. And because of that, as a group, we are supporting any of the causes you might decide to use some money. The group is coming up with 300,000 as a pledge to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Firstly, let me thank the chairman. I want to move closer to the stove. And just do it the way JJ does it. It's good evening. I don't know if you listen to JJ Tabani on Power Perspective. Let's do it that way together. Good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you. Sounds like we are on Power tonight. So firstly, I just want to thank Afro Industries for this very important gesture. Many of you sitting here this evening, having played golf, may take for granted, because of the progress you have made in your lives, the significance of just having a stove. Even now, in 2018, in South Africa, you may take this for granted. I want to assure Afro Industries that we still have communities, especially informal communities in our province, who would value this a great deal. And I want to, before I say anything to you, I want to say that I have decided that this 100 stoves will go to Lazonia. Where is Thabo? Thabo, that place where you are taking some stuff there, I know that area. In fact, I was in a meeting in another area, and the Lazonia people said to me, Premier, you have never been to Lazonia. Please visit us. Now I have a very good reason to visit them, because we will take the stoves and you are taking other things. And I think, Thabo, you, for every one of this, there are 100 stoves, you will have a piece of meat from you. Agreed?
Yes.
Agreed. So, in addition to the other things that we're talking about there, so we will take this to Lazonia. There are many challenges in that area, as you would know. In Gauteng province, you have people who just settle anywhere. They are settled there. Sometimes it's on land that is dolomitic land. You can't build houses there. And some have been staying there for many, many years. That area was a farm. And it is true that on that road to Erasmia, it is true that that place is very close to where the Treasurer General of the ANC was born. He was born around that area on the road. If you pass Deep Stewart coming from Sandton, four ways, you pass Deep Stewart, and then you go in towards Chris. There's another golf course there, Copperleaf. So when you pass Copperleaf, if you're driving towards the north, Copperleaf is on your right, on that road. So this is a wonderful contribution, and we're going to make sure. I was assured that the methanol that is used will be supplied, so that the people there don't resort to using paraffin. And when there was an explanation here. Paraffin is much more dangerous form of fuel. Having said that, ladies and gentlemen, you had a great day. I wish I was with you. You had a great day in golf. I have no doubt that golf actually, if you were not recording me, I would say something. I see a few guys with their cameras there. You know, golf also helps to improve your mood, guys. Okay, I'll just end there. So it doesn't matter how bad you played. Just remember something. If you just remember that you mustn't go and play golf to be angry. If you want to be angry with the ball, that day you're playing and it goes in its own direction, don't be on the golf course if you don't want to improve your mood. So don't be upset that you didn't play well that day, because that's not the point. Okay, there will be people who will sort that out. If you are patient enough, it will be sorted. But when you have spent a full day on the golf course, I think don't worsen your day by being upset with the little ball. It's the best, as they often say, a day on the golf course is better than a day in the office. So don't mess up your day. So if I were to advise you, do not be angry with the ball. It will be so angry with you that you will end up abandoning playing golf. Just be patient. I haven't played golf for very long myself, but I always look forward playing. And there's 18 holes, guys. You must be grateful if you just play one hole well. Be very grateful. Why be upset that, sometimes you must be grateful if you just hit one ball well. Sometimes you be very grateful. So don't be upset. Some people play so well all the way and get to the 18th hole, someone is so upset that, my putt was a mess. And they have played well all the way through. And so WBN, I want to appreciate your gesture, Chairman. Where is the Chairman? Chairman, I want to appreciate your gesture and Captain. I want the contribution you are pledging. I'm going to do something with that. And there are schools that I support, not just as the Premier of Gauteng, because as the Premier I must support all the schools. But as David Makhura, I have a trust. I support a number of schools. Some of those schools are in Ivory Park. This year we have added a school, Olivenhout, Bosch. And I listen to people who are doing something there in Olivenhout, Bosch, and I like what they are doing, training young women in golf. There's something I'm doing there in Olivenhout, and then there's schools we support, Alexandra and Diepsloot. So that those kind of townships. If you look at those townships, they are the most underdeveloped townships. So I want to say that when you have sorted us out with that contribution, it's definitely going to do something there in Olivenhout Bosch. I want those girls, I want those young women. So I'm going to, you see the team that was here, Progressive Women's Network, part of that donation is going to go to them. I want to see these young women coming from the townships and the largely informal township. I want to see them being professional golfers. So you now know that the Progressive Women's in Golf, you are now also part of my project. You are part of my project. So I'm adopting you. I'm coming there to Olivenhout when the schools open to hand over school uniforms. And the new school that we built there, we built a state-of-the-art school in the official capacity. And when we opened the school, we found that there are a lot of children who don't have proper uniform. and something you and I also take for granted because our children, uniform is the last thing to worry about. So when the schools open, we are handing over uniform to the children at that school. Most of them are girls. I want you to join me there. We will get your details. Okay. I am done with the other things. Can I just say two things to you about probably stuff that's business people at your level would be interested in. So Gauteng province, as you know, this is the 7th largest economy in Africa. So 7th or 6th. When someone says 6th, you must know why. 7th or 6th. Because we are the same size of economy as Morocco is. So basically there are only 5 countries whose economies are bigger than ours. That is Nigeria, South Africa, Egypt, Algeria, and Angola. So if we were, and then we and Morocco are the same size. But Morocco, because Morocco is a country, we will put them as the 6th. But our economy and that of Morocco is the same size. We are a 1.2 trillion rand economy. Those are the facts. But the truth, when you drill deep into that, you would know that we are the epicenter of South Africa's industrial and technological and financial sectors of our economy. Principally, white businesses are dominant in that. So when you talk about the challenges facing the South African economy, so we feel these challenges, we are the epicenter of those challenges. And yet we have a lot of talent, professional black talent in Gauteng. You know that the concentration of the black middle class is principally in Gauteng, and that's 46% of South Africa's black middle class is located here in Gauteng. And that the professional talent that is in South Africa produced by the various institutions is concentrated here. Linked to that is that in this 1.2 trillion rand economy, the township economy, which is something that a few of you who have been speaking here, including Thabo, about what they do as Kasi Empire. Where's Kasi Empire? Yes. What's called the township economy is not a small part of our economy. So basically, even without accounting fully for it, a township, informal township such as Diepsloot, has just been measured that there's 1 billion rand economy in Diepsloot. So when you get to bigger and more formal townships, if you get to Soweto, certainly between 30 and 40 billion rand economy, that's what Soweto is. And then you go around looking at all these townships across Gauteng province. So just talking about Gauteng province alone, of this 1.2 trillion rands economy, probably 200 billion rands of that economy is what we call the township economy. And by the township economy, we are not counting many of you who stay in the suburbs. By the township economy, there's a big part of what would be the black economy that's not in the township at the moment. It would be somewhere else. And that's why I like this idea that if black people can just have economic solidarity, So we are the big champion as the Gauteng provincial government of this thing that we call the township economy. I think a few years ago, many of you would not even think that conceptually you would have something that's called the township economy. As a result of our own work and advocacy work, but also proper study, the World Bank today accepts that there is something that's called the township economy. And they say you'll find the township economy in Latin America and in Southern Africa. And they have produced, some of you may know that, they've produced a full volume. This is done by economists, a full volume, thick volume on the township economy. So one of the things I like about WBN is this notion that, Jason, you were talking about. That essentially you see yourselves as a network that somebody who runs a business must, and they in their value chains and supply chains, they've got to get that system in the network itself. So you are going to buy something, you are also selling something, you build relationships amongst yourselves. And if only black people would understand that we can transform our country, we can transform this economy, if we were thinking right. And sometimes, so I'm using a very brutal word. This is brutality aimed at ourselves. If we were thinking right. One of the big things that the African Americans have done over many, many years is to create something that would be called economic solidarity. So if you are a black professional and you are looking for certain services or goods, you have to answer the question. If you are building your house, you've got to say, how do my house is going to be worth this amount? How do I empower? How do I find synergies? And how do I build medium to long-term relationship out of just building my house with other black people? And we must insist on excellence. And one thing I want to say to you, this economic solidarity cannot be based on a group of businesses that are called black and that don't regard quality as a fundamental question. Yeah. We must demand quality from ourselves. We don't have to wait for white businesses to demand quality from us. We must demand quality from ourselves. So my sister, if you are selling that food there in Alexandra and I want to come, and when we demand quality from you, we are building you. Yes. When you demand quality from Sekela Kabiso, the accounting firm, there is no value. We can't destroy black business by accepting poor standards. We are not building business. We are not building each other if we want to accept substandard services from each other. That's not what I call economic solidarity. The foundations of economic solidarity must be black excellence. Let's find in each sector, in each area, let's find the black company that is best placed to do this work. And when they build my house, I must be so proud and tell everybody, this house was built by this black company. And not be ashamed and say, hey, I can't tell you who messed up my house like this. So that's the first thing I would like to say to you. So the WBN, you must demand excellence. Coach, not the trainer. Stand up, sir. Stand up, sir. I think we must all wish we were you. We must wish we were you. We must play the best golf because black people can play any sport. And not accept that, because we are black, we didn't play for centuries, we were excluded. we can't give quality. That excuse belongs to yesteryear, especially if you are in Gauteng province. This is a province of excellence. If you want to accept lower standards, go to another province. I don't want to say which one. Go to another province. Because here when we talk about, so black professionals, black business, we must demand quality and excellence from ourselves. Because when we do that, we will, so when we say we must support each other and that we must look at the value chains and bring black businesses into our value chains, it means we are building a proper economy. Yes. And we are building proper mass, proper economic mass. So I want to commend you. I listened to many things that you were saying, but I also want to say to you as black professionals, please, that township economy needs a lot of your input. Yes. Don't be comfortable sitting in the suburbs. Don't sit in the suburb and be comfortable and think that, okay, you have made it, and I know that sense of we have made it. If you are in one space or the other, I want to challenge you, Chairman. Next time, look at, some of you said exciting things, but just do one thing in the township as part of growing your business. It's growth. It's not, you are not doing the township people a favor. The future of growth. When the township people wake up, they are not going to buy anywhere else. The day they wake up, they'll find that they are spending so much money in what I would call the white economy. That black people are complaining that we don't have finance, we don't have that, we don't have support, we don't have that, but they've got the money. Maybe it is not called finance. They have the spending power. Yes. Black people have the spending power. So one of the reasons we are pushing so hard bargain on the township economy. The future of growth in this country, the future of growth, especially on the consumption side and manufacturing side, we want to drive manufacturing, including services, advanced service businesses into the township. So how are we going to do that? This brings me to the last point I'm talking to you about, the land question. How do we drive this economic solidarity amongst black people? How do we turn the cash that is in the hands of our people in the townships, turn it into investable capital? How do we turn that huge cash that they get into the taxis and go and spend in Sante, and then go and spend somewhere else? Even in the townships, they often spend it in the white economy, where you have malls. Those businesses in those malls are principally white-owned businesses. They are still putting this money into the white economy. And white business people would know that essentially, if it wasn't for the consumptive power of the black population, there's no white business other than those that are exporting that would grow. If it wasn't for the consumptive power of the black population, that's where the money is, that they wouldn't make the money. That's why I say this takes me to this whole question on land. One of the critical issues that we should address as South Africans, that as black people we know, so we don't have the money, but our asset base is also very, very low. Probably many of you are most of you would be the first generation in your families to really own an asset like an asset. But I would also say we know that amongst a lot of black people, as business people, you would have assets, but a lot of black professionals, they don't even own those assets. So you have a house, it's a bond, essentially it's owned by the bank. You don't really have an asset base. Black professionals, the asset you have is your skill. If you have been to university, so
you are in charge of an accounting firm because you are a CA, Madam. So for many black people, the asset they have is their brain. They don't have any other thing they own. The skill, education is like this invisible asset that they have. So often when we talk about the land question, it is such a remote issue. But if you want to build, to move business and asset ownership and business ownership to the next level, one of the things we must use very, very well, like many countries, developing countries, is to use the existing asset that is the land. And I want to say to you that one of the things we're going to do, so you have heard me talk about rapid land release. Yes, one part of it is just for those who are homeless, who are landless, who are propertyless. A lot of people who in the townships would say, even if they would say they want to build houses for themselves. So the land that we have, both the land that's in the hands of governments in our province, but also privately owned land, one of the important interventions we want to make is that once someone has an asset, a piece of land, and they have title deed, that person can't be characterized in the same way when it comes to our national accounts. So let me give you an example. We have built 1.2 million houses in Gauteng province. We haven't given as many title deeds as equaling those 1.2 million people. But each one of those people who now, it's RDP, so from where you sit, it's very basic. But do you know that in many emerging economies, when somebody who did not have an asset like a house, the day they have that asset, they have a title deed to that asset, their standing, economic standing in society is different. So that's one of the things we want to try very, very deliberately. To use this program of land redistribution, firstly for people who don't have houses, to make sure that when somebody, their first asset they will have, you break with generational poverty. And one of the big problems are the finance people here. Finance people. One of the big problems is the way that our financial system works, our financial sector works. Yeah. So you have millions of people who have houses, who have title to those. But the financial system does not recognize those people as people with an asset base. Our financial system. We've got to break with that. The second area of land release is we want business people like you. Jason, I heard you talk about a lot of these guys. I want to drive these guys to the township. We want to give you a piece of land in the township to attract you into the township to come and build a business. A business in the township that will thrive, that will employ people, that will also bring young people into the economy in very different and dynamic ways, using our program of land release. So the land parcels that we have, we want to use those land parcels decisively to change economic activity. And the best thing is to get black businesses into them. If currently some of these big malls are built by established white companies, there's not even partnerships. What we also want you to do when you do that in the townships, we want you to identify township entrepreneurs, so that you build businesses that are in partnership with the local guys. And many of you who have been in townships, you would know that there is a lot going in our townships. There's a lot of innovation. I am amazed when I meet young people in the townships. We have built some of the innovation, we call them Kasi Labs, in some of our townships. I'm amazed when I get into the townships to find how the young people in those townships are always on the move. They are always trying new things. They need established black professionals and black, let me not use the word established, because I don't know at which stage are you. WBN? I think to stay established, you are establishing yourself.
Yeah.
Not established. Okay, you are in the course of establishment. But part of your growth strategy, I would say, look at the townships. Almost every sector, the opportunities are there. And we can sit down with you. Those of you who are in manufacturing, our first priority is manufacturing, producing goods in the town. If you are doing any manufacturing business and you want to do that in the township, see him do today. Just tell us what amount of land you need. You know this thing you were saying, Jason, about how many square meters of floor. I want to see those things happening in the townships. We have government-owned land. We want to attract our businesses in our townships to help transform the townships. But that's, as I said at the beginning, doing that is actually, that's where the future is. Because the real growth is going to be driven in there. At the back of it, we have another strategy of dealing with the main sectors of the economy. Because I don't want any one of you to think that, but you are only talking about the township economy. What about the rest? Now we do have, at the back of it, we have another strategy that to look at main sectors of our economy. How do we bring black businesses into those main sectors of the economy? How do we enforce integration? And we are doing that in this province, because if Gauteng province does not drive economic transformation, I can tell you economic transformation will not happen from the periphery. It cannot happen from smaller economies in the periphery of our country. It has to happen at the heart. But for it to happen, let's take advantage and let's work together. So this evening, I want to therefore conclude by calling on you, WBN. I think continue to play golf and keep your mood positive. Improve your mood. But just remember that you are one of those groups that may be playing golf, you are doing business together, that I would like probably in a few years' time say, there goes the guys who understood, and look how many businesses do we have from them. And that may include agro-processing related businesses, not just manufacturing, agro-processing. There's lots of